Today, the guys are starting their next classic build. We've found a disassembled 1955 F100, and we're going to show you how to save time and money by reviving someone's abandoned project. It's all today here on Truck Tech.
Hey guys, welcome to Truck Tech. Well, today we're looking to start a new project. With Superdually kind of coming down the home stretch and our 93 Chevy, our low-buck street truck, not far behind, well, we're going to need something to work on. But we're not going to take the typical route of heading to the local new or used car dealer.
That's right, because we got a buddy that read something about somebody that might have heard something about an abandoned project that may be worth getting into, and we can possibly take advantage of the hard work that's already been done and the investment in parts that's already been made. So while Ryan finishes up a few loose ends on Superdually, I'm going to jump in the truck and trailer and see what we can find. So we invested in a little bit of fuel, a little bit of windshield time, and found our way to our buddy Alan Jackson's house. No, not that Alan Jackson. This guy is no stranger to building trucks. As a matter of fact, he's had several of them featured in major magazines, and he's no stranger to getting dirt under his fingernails either. He actually builds trucks. And based on what I'm looking at here, we have in fact struck gold. This, although it may not look like it right now, is a 55 Ford F100. And there's original parts, the original chassis is in decent shape, a brand new complete bed kit, all kinds of aftermarket parts, great original parts, especially the cab. This cab is rock solid and perfect. There's been an awful lot of work done on it. The firewall, custom vents, and the top has been chopped, and chopped properly. This is the classic case of an abandoned project that for whatever reason just doesn't get finished. Well, how does that happen?
Me and my buddy that was helping me work on this project we sat down and was going over numbers. And I knew what I wanted to put into the trucks, and so if I did sell it, I would be able to, you know, at least break even or make a little money. And the direction I was going to be way past that point without putting a lot more money into it to take it to the next level. So at that time, I just decided it was just time to go ahead and get rid of this project and go ahead and move on to the next one.
Now, obviously, Alan had the best intentions with this project. He wasn't going to chintz out, he was going to do it right. But he's just ready to pass it on to the next person. Us. But it could be you. If you do a little bit of research and find out a little bit of information about the abandoned projects, you might be able to stand on the shoulders of somebody that's already done an awful lot of work and an awful lot of resource hunting, gathering parts, collecting and designing a project. You might be able to just take it over, save yourself a lot of time and a lot of money. For now, we're going to load up these parts, take them back home, see what we got. Now, if you think us scoring this great old pickup truck is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, well, you can think again, because the sad truth is, for every project that you see at a car show or on the road or at an autocross, the truth is there probably are 5 that are in this shape, that have been started, installed, or heck, maybe even it takes 2 to 3 to 5 years to finish a project. So there's a lot of stuff that's in garages, not on the road, and just waiting either to be finished or to be passed on, like Alan did to us, to a new set of owners, possibly with a new set of goals. However, you can take advantage of stuff that people have already done and the money they have already spent and save yourself time, money, and effort, and still have your own truck. That way.
Mush. All right, now with the truck and trailer unloaded, we can take a closer look at what Kevin dragged home. Now, it might look like a big exploded model and a ton of work, and it is, but we've got a lot of good parts here, and most of them are in really good shape. This is a nice grill. It's not beat up, banged up, or rusted. But the hood, that's a little bit of a different story. It's definitely got some patina from rust, but it's fixable. Or we can unload it at a swap meet to somebody who wants a hood with patina. Then we just use that money to buy a new replacement hood. We've got some aftermarket fiberglass block-off panels to go behind the headlights, a good radiator support and upper tie bar, and some quality steel reproduction running boards. Those things are worth a few bucks. We've also got a couple of boxes full of odds and ends. We've got headlight trim rings, weather stripping, some marker lights, window felts and guides, hood hinges, and some neatly organized hardware. which is a big plus. If you're buying somebody else's project, the more neat and organized they are, the less time you have to spend fishing through a box full of random odd end parts. So we're off to a good start. Now at the back of the truck, basically everything's new, save for the original fenders that appear to be in really good shape. Now these are nice quality reproduction bedsides, and we've got enough bed supports and slats and rails to complete the bed, including the header panel and this nice reproduction Ford tailgate. Heck, the seller even threw in enough stainless steel trim and oak to finish things out. Now the cab is where we really lucked out. This thing is solid and it's not that far away from being ready for paint. Now from what I can tell so far, it looks like they did a really good job on the metal work when they chopped the top. Heck, they've even got some paint down on the dash and the exposed portions of the door, which tells me this thing has seen a restoration at some point in its life. That same blue paint can be found on the firewall, and once again, there's no rust or rot anywhere on this thing. The floors are in good shape, the bottom of the doors are in good shape, and to top things off, well, we've got the rear glass and the windshield that have been cut down and modified to fit the now smaller window openings. Now the frame is original, and it looks like you would expect it to, being from the 50s. Now, somewhere along the line, somebody's done an engine swap. They've got different engine mounts in here. They've trimmed the cross member for crank pulley clearance, and they've made a few other small changes. But you could sandblast this thing, clean it up, reverse these modifications, and you've had a good stock frame. Then you could go with the stock suspension or go to the aftermarket for a 4-link rear or a Mustang 2 front suspension, or you could go and ditch this entire setup and go for an aftermarket frame that's set up for modern drivetrain and running gear. Either way, well, you can't go wrong, and we're off to a great start with a great project.
When we come back, we'll get the bed assembled, and later we'll put it all together to see just how far we've got to go.
Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Now, on a project this big and with so many parts and as much work to do, well, you might find yourself in a situation where you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed because you're not even sure where to start. Well, we feel your pain. We're going through the same thing. So what we're going to do is take these dozen or so parts that make up the bed and turn it into one part, a completely assembled bed. Now, you guys may have noticed the parts that make up the bed are just untreated raw steel. And some of the parts have some surface rust from being handled or getting wet and the metal not being protected. So what we're going to do before we even get started is get rid of this rust and wipe the metal down with a protectant so that doesn't happen to us again in the future. Now to remove the surface rust, we're using this bristle disc that does a good job at getting rid of the rust without really affecting the metal underneath it. It's not pitted or corroded too bad, so this is all it really takes. All right, now to keep the surface rust from coming back, we're going to hit the steel with this WD-40 long-term corrosion inhibitor. Now since we're going to be handling these parts, I'm going to hit it with a light coat, wipe off most of the excess. But if these parts are going to be sitting around for a while or even outside, go ahead and drench it on there and let it sit. Now just a light coating of this stuff is what we're after. All we really want to do is prevent skin oils and stuff like that from causing flash rust. And it doesn't take a whole lot of product to do it. Now the first piece of the puzzle I'm starting with is the rearmost bed support cross member. Then I'm just going to work my way forward. Existing holes in the frame rail provide the mounting locations, and witness marks where the old bed used to sit makes it easy to identify where these cross members go. With the 4 bed cross members installed, now we can move on to the driver's side bed side without the fender. And obviously the next piece is the passenger side. It's like a big puzzle. Next is the bed header panel, and it has a couple of flanges on it that kind of lock into the bed sides, so it kind of has to be put together carefully. Line everything up, then temporarily hold it in place with a pair of vice grips. Hold it for now. And with the metal portion of the bed assembled, it's time to move on to the wood. And we had to notch the oak slats where it meets up against the bed side, just for the hardware. It's pretty simple to do. After marking the holes, we drilled them using a 1/2-inch bit and finished things off with an Aerosol. That should provide enough room for the bolts to pass through. Cool. Now, one of the cool things about these old trucks is how easy they go together. Just takes basic tools and a little bit of know-how. But that's what they had back when this truck was put together, and it makes it installer friendly for the guy at home. Next is the tailgate hinge or pivot. And the top hole gets nut and bolted, but the bottom hole has a threaded insert, making it a little bit easier. And once the hinge is tightened down, then we can add the 90-degree bend metal end cap that goes at the end of the oak slats.
After the break, we'll finish up the bed. Stick around.
Now we know what kind of truck it goes on.
That's right. Hey guys, welcome back to Truck Tech, where we're doing a mock-up assembly of our new-to-us project, our 55 Ford F100. Now, so far, assembly of the bed has been pretty straightforward and kind of easy.
Got a little massaging to do here.
That'll hold it up at least. Yeah. Cool. Let's just mock up anyway.
Yeah. Now we know what kind of truck it goes on.
That's right. Now, so far, all of our bed parts were new parts, but these fenders appear to be original, and they're in pretty decent shape. And as a bonus, well, they're already in primer, so we don't have surface rust issues to deal with.
There it is.
Good. Two of them ought to hold it on there, huh?
Yep.
To the other side, and we can put this thing to bed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, bad. At the beginning of the show, you heard us mention Superdually. And there's one thing that is very obvious. And that is that we haven't worked on this truck in a while, as witnessed by the gnarly layer of dust and the beautiful work by Charlotte. So we're going to take a few minutes to get this thing cleaned up and show you what it's going to take to get this project finished. Well, that looks a whole lot better, and now you can actually tell that it's a 1979 Ford F350 club cab short bed dually body. And those of you guys that know your Ford history, you know that Ford never made a dually in 1979, but it's what we wanted, so we just made one, and we showed you how with the help of LMC Truck and their steel rear fenders. After we body worked it and fixed the rust, well, we bathed it in Summit Racing's base coat clear coat system, and we think that not only has the paint held up great over time, but that the two-tone paint scheme looks great.
Now on the outside, this is a good looking Ford, but underneath, this thing's all Dodge. It's sitting on a 97 Dodge 2500 chassis. It's powered by a 12-valve, 5.9-liter Cummins turbo diesel and backed by a tough 5-speed manual transmission. And we've shown you these wheels before from the Nashville Wheel Company, but they weren't wrapped in rubber and they certainly weren't installed on the truck. Now these nice aluminum wheels give this truck a killer unique look that separate it from just about anything else on the road. Now the tires are Falken EcoRuns in a 245/70 19.5 size. Now these things are designed and engineered to last a long time in a medium duty application. So on our light duty truck, these tires ought to be the last ones this truck ever sees. Now on the inside, we've got our 97 Dodge seats installed that go well with our Dodge steering column and our mix-up of Ford and Dodge dash components. And with everything installed, well, we've got a great seating position, the steering wheel and the shifter are where they need to be. Heck, we've even got a center console in this beast. So now all we've got to do is find some more motivation, tie up a few loose ends, pay some attention to the interior, and this monster will be ready for a test drive. go right now.
Hey, welcome back to Truck Tech. We've got the bed mocked up and assembled sitting on the original chassis, and that's exactly what we're going to do with the rest of the parts. Not only as sort of a roll-around storage device, but to see what we have and, more importantly, what we don't have.
So what we're going to do is take advantage of our huge overhead Cundle crane, strap this cab up and get it off of its kind of temporary wood dolly and get it setting on the frame.
Now, the most obvious purpose for mock-up for us is to get an inventory of the parts that we have. But it also serves another very important purpose, and that is to test the fit of the parts against the other parts. For instance, you can tell a lot by alignment holes and fender mounting holes to see whether or not the vehicle's ever been in a collision, or maybe if parts have been welded back in and misaligned. Bottom line, check and see what you've got, check and see how it fits, and write down a list. That way you've got something to work against when you're flipping through a catalog or making out an order. So why are they called running boards when they just sit there?
I don't know. Like stepping boards. All right, with the truck kind of assembled, you can see we're missing a lot of front end parts. No big deal, those parts are readily available in a catalog. Now, for the around $5 grand that we shelled out for this truck, well, half of it's in new parts in the bed. The other half is in bodywork on this virtually rust-free cab. Now, if we'd spent $2,000 or $3,000, gone out to a field somewhere and rescued a truck, we would have ended up with the rest of this truck and had a bunch of rust repair to do and parts replacement. Not to mention, this thing's got a chopped top and the glass has already been cut. So this project is worth every penny we've paid for it.
Now, a certain amount of slippage in an automatic transmission is actually necessary to go from one gear to the next. But when you're building power and increasing your power levels, well, slippage in a transmission might be the death of it. Well, TCI might have a little help on the way. This boost valve can work as a standalone upgrade or in concert with a shift improvement kit. And by increasing line pressure, can also increase shift firmness, clamping force on bands and clutches, and may actually increase the life of your automatic transmission by decreasing slippage. So if you've increased your stock power levels in your engine and you still have a stock automatic transmission, give TCI a call. They may be able to extend the life of your transmission and give you a better driving experience.
Now, if your truck needs an AC compressor, well, you may or may not know you should replace a few other parts in the system while it's open. And more than likely, rockauto.com has a component kit to fit your truck. Now, this kit happens to be for our '93 Chevy and includes a remanufactured AC compressor, O-rings and seals, a new orifice tube, and a new receiver dryer. So if you've got some AC work to do to your truck to keep it cool during the summer months, we need to check out the complete component kits from rockauto.com. This setup for our '93 Chevy only set us back a couple $100.
If you've got a diesel-powered truck and you want to increase fuel economy and performance, let's face it, who doesn't? You may want to give Royal Purple's MAX-TANE Total Diesel Performance Additive a shot. MAX-TANE increases cetane in diesel fuel, which is like increasing the octane in gasoline. It cleans the entire fuel system, increases fuel economy, and improves cold flow by preventing gelling. MAX-TANE is safe for all DPF filter systems and all catalytic converters. And regardless of the type of diesel fuel that you're running, including biodiesel, MAX-TANE will lift your cetane levels across the board. And one bottle treats up to 50 gallons of diesel fuel. Thanks for watching Truck Tech. See you guys soon.